Hello everyone, and welcome to another build tutorial. In this video, I'm taking you to Moria to show you how to build something in the Dwarven style. Today's goal is to build a dwelling, which is a Dwarven home. These are typically found inside of a cave, like right here in the Westgate area. For the sake of the video, I will work on this small section of cave that will be put into context at the end of the video. There are two steps to building a dwelling, the first one being the exterior or facade. For the facade, I will be using this block palette. Now let's get to it. First, I'm going to determine the outline of the facade with some yellow and grey wool. The interior will have two floors, and I'm using the grey wool to indicate the level of the upper floor. I'm carving a little bit into the cave here to place my blocks down. The yellow wool will be made into pillars. Next, I'm going to add some more structure to it by using sandstone blocks, stairs and slabs like so. These make it so the facade looks less flat. It's important to connect the facade to the top of the cave to make it look more like it was built into it. That's why you see me adding a little sandstone wedge at the very top. With some stone blocks, stairs and slabs, I make a door opening and a few windows like so. You can use a debug stick to get the desired block state for the stairs. Notice how I'm adding a bit of depth to the facade by placing the door opening and window one block behind the yellow wool. To finish the facade, I'm going to replace the yellow wool with my pillar block. Lastly, I'm adding some decorative blocks to tie it all together. And block mix some cobblestone into the windows and door opening. With the facade finished, it is now time for the second part of the dwelling build, which is the interior. For the interior, I will be using this block palette. For me to be able to make the interior, I need to first carve out the cave a little, like so. It's a good idea to plan your layout with some wool blocks. That way you can easily make changes if you want to. Now I have room to make my layout. I'm using grey wool for the floor, yellow wool for the pillars and green wool for the walls. I tried to make the layout a bit more dynamic by having the second room be one block lower than the first room. Although this interior will be fairly small, I want to make room for a kitchen, fireplace, study and bedroom. If you have some trouble making the layout, just remember that symmetry can help you give shape to the rooms. Because this dwelling has no neighbors, I am fairly unlimited in how much space I can use, but note that this will not always be the case. Often, you'll have to adjust your layout to your surroundings. I try to put the walls one block behind the pillars to create a bit more space and depth. It might seem like the rooms will be a bit tall, but in the next step you'll see how it all comes together. With the 2D layout finished, it is time to make it into a 3D layout by raising the pillars and walls 4 blocks up. This way I get the right dimensions of the rooms. I'm also making sure the stairs are covered in green wool, which will also act as a wall. Like with the exterior, I now add more structure to it by using sandstone blocks, stairs, slabs and wedges. The goal here is to make a bit of an arch towards the ceiling, which is typical for building in the Dwarven style on MCME. It's important though to add a bit of variation to make it look more interesting. Here and there I'm using some other sandstone blocks like thin slabs and pillars. Some of these are specific to RPD and you can find them in the custom inventory. They make building in the Dwarven style a bit different from the human style, but you get used to it pretty quickly. Next, I need to add some stone blocks, stairs and slabs to the ceiling in such a way so that it appears to have been carved out. After this step it got a bit darker inside of the dwelling. Remember that you can toggle full brightness on when you are building in or walking through Moria. With this out of the way, it's time to decide how I'm going to organize the interior. Once I have figured out where I want my kitchen, fireplace, study and bedroom, it's time to decorate the interior. I built a fireplace like so and make sure to leave a gap for the smoke. For the kitchen, I decide to push one of the walls one block back to add a bit more space for a table and a furnace. I also make sure to add a light source in every room. I notice there's a bit of empty space left, which I use for storage. I try to use a combination of stone and wooden blocks for the furniture. Now that the decoration is finished, it's time to replace the wool blocks with an appropriate block mix. For the floor, walls and ceiling, I'm using a similar but variable block mix of stone variants. You can see me adding a few custom heads here and there. They are useful for detailing, but keep in mind that Bart is not afraid of making them disappear. For the pillars, I'm either using a more decorative block like this one, or another mix of stone variants. After the block mixing, we have arrived at the final step for most Moria builds, the ruining. I start by punching some holes in the floor, that I fill with either a big boulder or a stone stair to simulate a little crack. I'm also adding stone slabs, small boulders and some dust to the floor. I'm mostly using the white dust, which blends quite well with the floor, but also a bit of brown dust and coal dust. Lastly, to ruin the walls, I make a few cracks using stone slabs and stairs. Block mixing is usually something I do with World Edit, but for a small dwelling like this one, it can easily be done by hand. And that's it for the interior. With the dwelling finished, it's time to add a bit of color to our little cave section to get the final result. This is how we built one of the many dwellings in our current Westgate area. No better way to showcase this build than by taking a look at the dwelling cave. I hope you all learned something from this tutorial and thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, feel free to subscribe to our channel.